All right. We are live here at the Business Temple. Woo!
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday, y'all. Thanks for staying consistent with us over here at the Business Temple. It's your co host, Super Alex.
And your
What's
co
up,
host,
yo?
Super Ray. How's it going, everybody out there around the world here on YouTube? I can't wait to get this started. Today's segment is Until Debt Do Us Part. And
Mm-hmm.
before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that smash that subscribe button,
Boom.
slap that subscribe button,
Bitch,
and never
slap that
miss an
subscribe button.
episode. We are consistent every single day, every single Saturday here, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Don't forget to join us every single week. All right, Super Alex. Woo! Let's get
What's
some hype. I'm
up?
just ready to get started over here, but
Yes, sir. Yes,
let's bump the
sir.
music. Let's get a little
Oh,
dancing.
yeah, man. Let's pump them up a little bit. Thanks for inviting them to subscribe, Ray. The best thing about Business
Oh,
Temple is that we talk about the union of ancient philosophy and modern business. Now, the topic for today is Until Debt Do Us Part, and you guessed it right, it is about debt. And we're going to help you understand debt through philosophy and how it can help professionals and entrepreneurs out there. So, personally, for this episode, I've been learning a lot. Well, when I spoke with Ray, I think when we spoke 2, 3 years ago, somewhere around that time, and I did not know jack shit about handling my debt or working with credit. And so, whatever I have to say today, I obviously did learn from Ray. So
thank you,
let's
brother.
see what else new things we could learn in today's episode, and let's get started. Let's talk about this. All right. So, debt. What is it? What does it mean for entrepreneurs? Is it good to have debt for entrepreneurs or no? Where are we at with that?
It's the $1 million question, Alex. That's what we're here to answer. $1 million questions for million
That's right.
dollar entrepreneurs and $1 million people.
Love that.
That question has been rung true for thousands of years. If you don't believe it, is it the
Hmm.
concept of what's good debt versus what's bad debt, and the concept of good debt and bad debt can be transcribed easily. The meaning of good debt is owning assets that appreciate over time, while bad debt
Right.
is a owning or purchasing of items that depreciate over time. So an appreciation versus a depreciation, assets over consumable goods or products that are just going to diminish in terms of value. I see it two sides of the coin because there is some ambiguity when it comes to
Hmm.
good debt and bad debt. Like take for example a collector that buys toys or Pokemon cards or things like that. They have the preconceived notion that the value of this product is going to increase, but they don't know. It's essentially gambling, but with extra steps.
Right.
But we're here as entrepreneurs. We're not gambling with our money. We're not here to play with our money. We're here to make our money work for us. And in order for you to make money work for you and be a better entrepreneur, you have to understand what debt is, how to use it, how to obtain it, and from start to finish, how explaining it from all the way back in the beginning. Like, how did this concept of debt
Yeah.
begin? Why did it begin? And why do we use it? Why do we need it? Why is it so important? Why is it in the news today about the debt ceiling, and everything about debt today is going to get answered and more. But Alex,
I love that.
coming from a different perspective of mindset. I mean, you're coming from the Philippines, and then you're. I know they have their own system and they have their own way of
They do.
credit
Yeah.
and then assessing whether they should provide people with loans there. While you coming here, you say that I'm teaching you about debt, debt and credit and everything, but it's different for you, and
Oh,
it's
really?
different here. So this is I.
Vastly
It's
different.
okay if you don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know what I don't know
Yeah.
simply because of this reason. I grew up. I didn't grow up, but I worked as an entrepreneur in a country where credit really, really didn't have a hand, or yeah, a hand in what you were doing most of the time. You know what I mean? In the Philippines, it matters more who you know.
Mm,
That's the social, this it's social capital over
yeah.
there. So I never really had to work with credit a lot. You know what I mean? I I wasn't even checking my credit score. Did I don't even know what was going on with that, to be honest, man. And then when I was an entrepreneur as well, I did not accrue a lot of debt because I was part of the 70% of entrepreneurs out there who use their personal finances to handle any, any financial difficulties or anything like that. But when I did start out as an entrepreneur, I was thinking about getting or working with an angel investor. I never did, though. I never had the opportunity to do so. So when I did become an entrepreneur, while it was absolutely difficult, I was not in debt. I was
Mhm.
never in debt. So I never had to worry about paying off money. I had to worry about making money, making a lot of money. But then, that helped me sleep better at night instead of like, oh man, I got a lot of bills to pay, got a lot of this and that to pay. In in fact, my thing was I didn't have enough to make the bills at the end of the month. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
making money for me was making money for me, and having not to focus on my credit score really didn't give me the knowledge and know-how on what I needed to be doing to navigate that and to be able to take advantage of a good credit score. So when I moved to LA a year and a half ago, spoke with Ray a couple of months before then, that's when I was like, oh, this is what
I
you
get it.
need to do. Oh, this matters here. I'm like, okay, that was part of like a little bit of my culture shock here as well. Okay, yeah, obviously credit and all that stuff because I've just never had to deal with it before.
Yeah. And
So that's my story there, man.
it's a great starting point because the thing is, when I think about debt, I think there are companies purposely trying to make sure that the public is unfamiliar of how to use it and understand it. And
Right.
the less people know about debt, the less people understand that, the more they can get into these traps where these companies could profit off of your hard work, your labor,
Yeah.
etc. And it's just insane how not understanding money from the onset and throughout, how it just comes to be from like how it's distributed to understanding how debt and the debt ceiling, how politics play into your success is insane to me because I think this interests me to a tremendous amount. I get excited
Hmm.
talking about it because my journey started humble, kind of like yours. I mean, I come from a poor family where finances were the hot topic in the household where we had
Yeah.
it was every single day fighting over money on like
Same.
every check living paycheck to paycheck trying to having a father addicted to alcohol gambling habit that would come home with barely any money and then try to figure out how we get any money for food. It really just like helps you put things into
Hard knock
perspective
life, man.
to think about money and how money plays a
Yeah.
role in your survival and not understanding money is the biggest mistake I think anybody can make.
I agree. I
And
absolutely agree.
when it comes to debt and when it comes to credit, I didn't understand money to the degree I do now. And I think even looking past all that, I never had a great relationship with money the same way that people typically would have. And for me, it was like as soon as I get it, I gotta spend it. As soon because I never know what's gonna happen to me. Life is short, and I need to make sure that I enjoy my life and spend it, and then use it for what I need. Of course, pay for the necessities, pay for
Yeah.
the needs, and then spend the rest. Well, lo and behold, that's not going to fly. Many people have gotten wake up calls, especially during COVID, of how important it is to make sure that you have a nest egg. You can lose your job like that, and then nobody cares. And that's for some people, they need to get to that extreme. They need to get to rock bottom in order to understand finances. I'm I'm the same as well. I
My
think
man, I have been in rock bottom so many times. And
yeah.
the thing is, every time I do hit rock bottom, the prompt is never about understanding money for some reason. And it should have
Mm,
been because a lot of it, money was the reason why I was in rock bottom. You know what I mean? And really trying to get a grasp of it now and trying to improve my relationship with money because I had a bad relationship with it before.
mhm.
Similar to you. Super Ray, like I grew up in a household where, money was the mindset was that money was evil.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And whenever we had lots of it, or whenever we had to borrow it, whenever we had to chase it, or whenever we had to earn it, even, it's just seen in a very bad, sometimes even criminal light. So just having that part of that concept of money in your mind, it's really kind of poisoned the idea of it for me. And so I had a lot of unlearning to do when it came to learning about money, learning about debt, finances here, especially all the stuff I learned from you. There was a lot of things that were brand new to me, but at the same time, things that were familiar to me, but then I did not really pay attention to it.
Mm.
Things that I should have been doing for quite some time now. So yeah, man, in that same boat before, paycheck to paycheck, not really living my life, because money, it makes things a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
In my relationship with money now, I think of that shit like energy, man. I never want to worry about that.
So you talked about like how money is evil and how your parents kind
Mhm.
of instill that kind of thought into your head. And I no, get me wrong, it was similar in the situation when I grew up, where it's like if you got money, you were kind of undeserving of it in a way, or like where did it come from? The questions behind it. It's like you don't ever want
Yeah,
to have too much of it, because then your family is gonna come after you. They're gonna
yeah,
ask you for it. It's just too many headaches that comes with money, and that's kind of like what has been instilled in us. Like if you have way too much, you're overindulging in a way. But I want to distill that fear, and if you can tell us, like, yeah, if what is your relationship with money now? What do you think? And just elaborate that a bit, coming from that perspective.
yeah. So coming from a perspective where the emotional spectrum was anxiety, fear, and parents thinking it was a morality issue, having a lot of it was evil. But now it's the complete opposite, man. Money is good for me. Money is a tool. I use it to help people. I use it to help myself. I use it to upgrade my life and the lives of the people around me. Being able to not worry about money because you made it a point to earn a lot of it, or to set up these proper income streams so you get an ample amount of it with a lot left over at the end of the month. It's something that helps me work better, focus better, sleep better. The last thing I want to worry about, man, it's money. And the last thing I want to fight about with people is money.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I've lost a couple of friends through money, stopped talking to a couple of family members because of money. And so I made it a point in my life now to make the type of relationship I have with money just be detached from it. Earn it, yeah, hustle for it, work hard for it and all of that, but don't let the thought of it control your life.
I see.
There's
Understood.
a lot more smaller things than money that could satisfy you. Why are there homeless people? There are some homeless people on the street just straight up satisfied, content, or content and happy with their lives, or poorer people out there. And why, to me, that's just amazing. Where you actually
Yeah,
don't need all that stuff. But then, as an entrepreneur, let's be real here. We're not running a charity, aren't we? So it's
that's
important to
true.
have a good relationship with money because you got to make it in order to expand your business.
And then from that mindset, like, what is the relationship with debt? Like, what are your thoughts on specifically around accumulating debt, using debt? And one thing that you did say, and I think that's been echoed a million times as well, is that like money is a tool,
Mm-hmm.
and debt, accumulation of debt, what about it? Is it, do you see it more as a tool, or is it the end all be all? Is it something that people end up drowning in, or what are your thoughts there?
So I feel like when it comes to debt, I've never actually put myself in a position where I was in deep shit or
Mm,
deep debt. You know what I mean?
You're
I'm not
lucky.
sure. Yeah,
I
how
have.
would you define deep debt? Are we talking like $10,000 over,
Wow.
or what are we
No.
talking
I
about?
mean,
What is
if
deep
you
debt?
if you if you account for college expenses alone,
Mhm.
the average United States uh, participant that gone to college owes over $50,000 in student loans, and that to me is just ridiculous. Like
Right.
that amount of
That's
money
deep shit.
is crazy. But when you think about it, there are
Mhm.
cars that go for that much. The average
Right.
car is
Right.
about an average of 60 something $1,000. The average new car, and the thing is, people get into this debt in order to think of, well, when it comes to school, you think of the future prosperities that you'll have by accumulating this degree in whatever prestigious school you're getting in it. But there are also ways to mitigate those debts and turning into something great. So let's think of it: if you do take those loans, if you do pay for college, and then you end up dropping out,
Yeah.
you
Then you're
pretty much
screwed.
at a loss. And
Uh-huh.
what's crazy is that they don't teach us what we're getting ourselves into once we turn 16 and then getting into debt. Because my crash course into debt was getting into college, was going to school. Because I remember specifically, I needed money for books. I didn't
Mhm.
have money for books. So I was, of course, solicited with so many marketing ads when you turn 18 about get this loan, get that loan, no credit required, blah, 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 blah. So I took out a loan from a company that was for $1,000.
Okay.
And that $1,000, I was like, wow, I didn't have any credit. I didn't have anything. I wasn't familiar with it. I had that $1,000. That was like, they just pretty much gave me money. So I bought the books, but then I had some left over, of course, and I just blew it all.
Mhm.
I just blew it all. I don't
So
know
you
what I
spent the
spent it on.
entire 1,000.
Yeah, I spent it all. And then come 6 months later, I get a bill asking me to pay for this $1,000 loan that I took. And I was, at that time, I didn't have, like, I was more focused in school. I did have something part time during,
Yeah.
but I was doing more of a work study type of thing, which paid me what, $8 an hour. And that was $8 was basically for me to eat. So I had no way of paying this. So I
That
ignored it.
1,000.
I just
Mhm.
ignored it. I just left it at where it was. So each month I got the bill, I got another bill, got another bill, and then every single time I saw that
Oh,
$1,000 accumulate, and then the interest rate on this loan I didn't know at the time was 18% or 18 to 19%. So now you're
shit.
saying that I had to pay an extra 18% on top of the
Uh-huh.
$1,000, which was, to me at the time, I didn't really understand what that meant or what it is, $180 per year in accumulation. But now that I ignored it, it's after I would say I didn't even pay attention to it. I wasn't even getting the letters. It was coming to my house. I missed about 10 payments of
Oh
10,
man.
12 payments before I got a call from the collection agency saying that you owe us this amount of money, and that amount
You got past the
accumulated
collections too?
for
Oh,
3,500 something dollars. And
yeah.
that's when I was like, oh, okay. Wow, I cannot play with this. So I at that point wasn't allowed to just, that's when I really got a crash course of what it means to take loans without
Had to
understanding,
learn the
without
hard
doing the
way.
payments, without like understanding credit at all. And I paid. I would say, like, I'm happily. I It took me many many years to pay down that loan. I wasn't making much, but it really showed me and opened my eyes. Like, okay, well, I can't play with this. I can't.
Yeah.
I didn't even get my first credit card till I was 18 also, and my first credit card only had $300 on it too. And when I used that credit card, I was mindful of using that money, especially after the experience I had. From then on, it was a crash course in learning
Man,
finance, brother.
you learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I don't have any stories like that, man. Like I'm just so thankful right now. Come to think of it, bro, my takeaway from this episode right now is just I'm glad I didn't get into that deep shit, man. Because I had so many opportunities too as an entrepreneur, and my initial reaction was whenever I would start a business, it was like, okay, I need some investors. I need X amount, a couple $100,000 to start this. A lot of, you know, entrepreneurial mindset out there, especially if you're launching a startup, is that you need money, money, money. But the thing about that is, that's why we're doing this episode. You know, you don't want to be in that type of debt, especially if you don't understand the type of debt that you're getting into.
I don't
Imagine
have
if
the
you're an
ability to pay it
entrepreneur.
back.
Exactly. I mean, imagine if you're an entrepreneur. Let's take a look at the statistics, man. How many businesses succeed in their first year? You're not even sure, and you know you're taking out this huge loan for something that you're not completely sure of, and you don't understand the loan itself. You know, so it's a double whammy of getting screwed right there.
Yeah.
You got to be careful about that.
You understand the agreements, and it's
Exactly,
insane.
exactly. So, fair warning to everybody, all entrepreneurs watching here. Try to understand. Of course, my thing was, I worked on being more resourceful than, you know, accumulating all this cash, right?
Mhm.
But of course, you know, I'm resourceful now. Now I want to accumulate a bunch of cash. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much where I'm at with it, Ray. But yeah, tell us the lessons learned, brother. What happened
Man,
there?
so many lessons. I learned so many lessons from that. When you have debt collectors calling your phone, finding out your number, even if you changed it, they'll find you. They'll call your
I'm
family.
sure. I
They'll
was a
they'll
collector
track you
before.
down. They'll track you down. You were a collector before.
Yeah,
so
I was,
you're on the
brother.
other side of this
Exactly.
coin. And
I would not stop, bro. I know what you're
it's
talking
crazy
about.
when you're afraid to pick up your phone just because you think it's on the other side is this a constant barrage of calls asking where's my money, where's my money, where's my money. But I learned a very valuable lesson from taking that loan, and that is to make sure I understand the agreements, make sure that I understand what I'm getting myself into, especially when I'm taking out loans. And I'm here saying today, look, I'm student loan debt free in that regard, but I do understand the difference between what's good debt and bad debt. For example, I do have debt on my houses. I bought 2 houses, as you know, and I have mortgages on both those houses. I'm paying off those mortgages based off the rental income. So the income that comes in is paying for those houses. And then in that period of time, equity has built on those houses, which allows me, funny enough, in this country, is to take more debt from the houses from that accumulated value. So say, for example, right now, I bought, no, that's not even a hypothetical, an example. I bought the house for $350, around that range. The value of the house ballooned, and it's still up there at the $515,000 or so. So now that excess of value, I can actually take a loan against and borrow that debt, and then I can use that extra $100,000 to purchase another house or purchase something that I might enjoy. But I think that's the best thing to do. Is not, most people, what they do, to be honest, once they start making money, is take that and buy their car and use debt to pay that, because you don't pay interest on your own debt. So if you're taking a loan, you're borrowing money from, let's say, yourself or the bank, you're not essentially paying interest on that debt. It can be another expense. But that's another story of how people generate wealth via real estate. But
I do get the concept you're talking about, though. You're using debt to, purchase assets, or, try to purchase other income streams.
Yes.
Pretty much, right?
So using basically other people's money to enrich yourself. And there's no way that this country would have the many millionaires and billionaires that you see in this world if it wasn't for debt. And I mean, even this country, we're a debt-ridden country. We are at $31 trillion in debt, the United States, and that amount just continues to grow. And they keep raising it, because in order to pay for the services that we have here and for this world to go around, we need to continuously raise it. But when it comes to debt for the individual, I mean, there's too many people are swipe happy. They
swipe happy.
They're so swipe happy. They're just purchasing things without understanding the ramifications of making those purchases. The worst is purchasing a car. I think that's the worst investment anybody can make, is purchasing
it's an asset that doesn't appreciate. It's it's not I don't know.
If you buy yourself a luxury vehicle that's in the $50,000 to $60,000, knowing that it's going to depreciate over time, unless it's a business expense and you're using your car as your as I guess a business. Some people make their whole personality their cars sometimes, and if that's you, do you. But and this is another thing. This is a perception of people that they see these people have all these nice things, that these things are awesome. I want to
Right.
have that. So I'm going to put myself in debt in order to have the things that other people have. So it's also a insecurity type of thing too.
Mhm.
Like I want to
That
dress
makes
well.
sense.
I swipe my card, pay $200 for this shirt, or pay $200,000 for this car because this person has this car. Not even understanding that sometimes these celebrities, they get paid to endorse some of these things, these clothes,
Exactly.
cars, and they write all that stuff off. While the individuals that don't understand finances get themselves into this hole that they don't know how to climb out of. And
Debt for your
once
image,
you're in
man.
that hole, they got you. It's like a spider trap. It's a spider web, and the spiders are all coming for you. You're the little fly.
It's oddly specific, man. But yeah, and the hole gets deeper and deeper too. You know, you
Yeah.
don't. And the funny thing is, you don't even realize you're in a hole sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just that's crazy.
Some people are happy in there. They just say, I can't get out, I'm going to give up. And that's the worst thing you can do. And that's what debtors want you to do. They want you to stay in that hole. They don't want you to pay it off. They don't want you.
Yeah.
They want you to keep making minimum payments until you die. And then once you
Exactly.
die, they can pass that on to your kids or your family members, because that is not going away. They'll seize all your assets until that debt is paid. And that really comes from the philosophy portion of this, all the way back then, thousands of years ago. Even when kings and queens, in order for them to raise armies, they needed to get into debt, and the debt that they accumulated was personal. It wasn't a loan or something that you took off of like the castle and then put and then use that as like they did use certain properties as collateral, but they still needed to build infrastructures and things like that inside of their little communion. And the way that they made money was via taxes, but they went into debt. And if another country or an invading country came in and took over the castle, that debt doesn't go to the person that invaded. This is why invasions happen pretty often. You didn't realize it was because of debt in a way too.
No, man, I thought it was always because of women. Helen of Troy, all that stuff too.
The debitors, they actually followed the person that the money they loaned to, not the estate. So if I were to capture, let's say you took out debt, you built a community, you built your whole castle, and then I come in here and I invade it and I kill you. Oh no, I don't kill. Maybe I do kill you. Now the debt goes passed down to your family and your family alone, and you're responsible, and your family's now responsible for all of that.
That's worse, isn't it?
I just took your castle and I have everything and it's mine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes more sense when it comes to invasions, I guess.
And then this is what you call, what are those people that just buy up companies that are pennies for dollars, those predators, that people create these businesses and they don't have enough money to continue the business, but someone sees the opportunity, they crush these businesses, and then once they split the businesses. They buy them a penny at the dollar, split the business, and then sell those assets for a profit. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy the things.
Another $1 million question for this $1 million conversation.
Yes.
Best way to get out of debt.
Best way. Budget. One word, and it's budgeting. Understand what your income is. Really understand what your income is. What are you able to spend? What you need to put aside for the necessities, which food, housing, electricity, water, all the necessities, and then start thinking about how much can I realistically put down extra on top of not just the minimum payments to pay off and pay down that debt. Like that to me is ultimately the goal. There's no if, ands, buts about it. And increasing your income by taking on side hustle, getting a different job, doing something to just supplement perhaps your current job, you're gonna have to work twice as hard as everybody else. That's there's no if, ands, or buts. You're gonna have to work twice as hard to pay off your debts, and that's, you got to get used to the hard labor. It's tough.
Yeah, and I mean, no one else you can't hold anyone else accountable except yourself.
Yeah, you
You're the one
find
who
that
put
dotted
yourself in
line.
that debt. You know what I mean? And
And there's so many protections on
uh-huh.
the creditors that it's nearly impossible. People say, okay, well, I can just go bankrupt. I can just file for bankruptcy. Students loans don't go away for bankruptcy. Certain bank loans don't go away for bankruptcy. So if you
They're
are,
still there.
it's still there. And then, and it disallows you to, and then honestly, this discredits you in a lot of ways, and doesn't allow for you to get any more money from anywhere. So you're putting yourself in a very precarious situation. So when it comes to debt, budget, really think about what you're bringing in, how much you can pay down, but pay it off, pay as fast as you can. And once you're debt free, trust me, it feels like a huge weight is lifted off your shoulders.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I just want to add, bro, like you're so disciplined when it comes to money. Like I've seen you
Mhm.
work with money before. I've seen you really budget money. When you're say you're gonna spend $100, just $100 this week, you will not spend a penny more.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure I could do that. You know what I mean? I splurge a little bit when it comes to money. You know what I mean? I think because I had such a lack of it before, and now that there's pretty much an abundance of it, it's I guess I'm kind of like, you know, the feeling where you're deprived of something before and now
Mhm.
you're kind of like making up for it by, you know, buying whatever you want.
Yeah.
Obviously I don't buy
That's me and
whatever I
Legos.
want.
That's
You would
me and
like you
Legos.
do that? Yeah.
And Legos.
I do that with other
It's like
stuff, man. You
never
know,
grew up with
especially with
Legos. Now
food.
I'm buying a bunch of them, but I get it. No,
You know what
continue.
I
Sorry, I
mean,
didn't mean to
right?
cut you off.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, it's totally fine. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to still have that discipline, even if you've already got the money, all the money that you need, or all the money that you can ever hope for. Because, like what Ray mentioned earlier, you know, jobs, no such thing as job security right now, and boom, in the snap of a finger, things can go upside down. You know, and I thought it was extremely important for me to work on my net worth. I've actually never started working on that till just a couple of years ago.
Mm.
And so think about that as an entrepreneur, like what you were saying earlier, Ray. What are my expenses? List these things down, and then find out what you need to do if you need to take on another side hustle. I was gonna say that you already took the words out of my mouth. You know, if you want to get your ass out of debt, you know, find more work. You know, get more side hustles, especially as a startup entrepreneur. And let's say your product or service, even though you're pushing it in the market right now, it's not clicking yet. You know, you gotta get that side hustle.
Yeah.
It's absolutely important.
And people need to realize too, like you're not beneath any of the work that you do. If anything, it's a
Right.
testament of who you are as a person. I mean, I can have businesses and own houses but still be cleaning floors, and I would gladly do so if that's what I
Hard
need to do.
same.
And I would
Hard
say
same.
it's crazy because you know what too, and I think any millionaire, self-made millionaire person that's worked their way to the top will tell you the same. Like they know that their job and their ins and out from the like if let's say for real estate, for example, the
Mhm.
electricity, the plumbing to do the foundation, everything. They understand how to do the decor, the walls, everything, every little aspect of the business, and that's what's going to make you a great success. It's understanding that there's no job too little or too big for you to do. You're out there, you're making sure that things get done and making sure that your business strives. And if you are in debt, take on any single job that you can. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning toilets, it doesn't matter if you're cleaning floors, it doesn't matter if you're driving for Uber. You're doing
Yeah.
something in order to make your life better, in order to make yourself succeed. And then, like you said when earlier about being like a self-starter, making money, I'm sure there were moments where you have to put your business aside and work on other things and to just
Yeah.
get money in order
Definitely.
to pay off some of the business expenses, because you have a dream, you have a goal, and in order to achieve this dream, you need to accumulate enough money to achieve it.
Absolutely.
I can go
Yeah.
on and on about that.
Yeah, I was on that path, many times. Still am actually. Whenever I start a new business, sometimes it picks up right away. Most of the time it doesn't, and whenever it doesn't, I'm just out here trying to work on other things. Being resourceful, being humble enough to take on these jobs that I know that I haven't done before, or some people may think it's beneath me. I don't care about that shit. Mindset is just make money, make money, make money.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Doesn't matter how you do it. You just gotta make that money. And I
Legally.
want to connect
It
of
matters.
course, legally. Yeah,
Pay
I would like to connect this to one of our episodes. We talked about freelancing, and
Oh,
it was
going
it
from
was on a
yeah,
it was on our YouTube channel. What was the title of that
starting from
episode?
zero.
Starting from zero. Okay, we
Yeah.
talked about freelancing there. We talked about we and also at our clubhouse, you'll see on the link in the description below, we have a rags to riches. That episode is very good as well, where Ray and I talk a little bit about our origin story, and it'll come in full circle as you listen to that episode
Mhm.
and listen to us here. So there's a lot of references that we could already talk about, but definitely check out that freelancing episode, as we do talk about a list of different side hustles that you could actually take on in the gig economy. That said, I learned a lot from you today, Ray. All my stuff about debt, credit, that type of knowledge I owe to Super Ray. Thank you very much to enlightening us in this episode today.
Yeah, you too, Alex. I mean, I think it doesn't become real until we share our stories, and I think that's
Ooh,
what really matters.
here we go.
Sharing our stories, sharing our passion for business, and sharing our knowledge is honestly what's going to create more entrepreneurs that are wise and are not getting themselves into too much debt, and then understanding what they're signing up for. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but I'm so happy that we did this episode. I think
Yeah.
that people that are going to come here and listen to us are coming here mostly for the shared story. Know that we can connect. We understand from the ground up, and in the way that we build our businesses and the way that we interact. They understand that it's coming from a place of love. We're not here to give you a false sense of security. We're
Nope.
here to tell you how it is. Like, this is the truth. This is how it's going to be, and we're gonna be here for you guys every single Saturday.
Absolutely.
Segue. Subscribe
Always
over at
the
the Business
brutal,
Temple.
always the brutal truth
Yeah,
here in the business temple. We absolutely say it how it is.
we
And
experienced it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? We try not to talk about things that we don't have much grasp over, and then kind of combining that with philosophy, and also really just trying to understand ourselves better. I know whenever I hop on an episode, I learn something new, and I end up understanding myself better as well. I think that's the beauty of this podcast. It's just 360-degree learning, and we always want to share that with everyone here. Like what Ray said earlier, is bitch slap that subscribe button, smack that notification button. We are here every single Saturday, 9 a.m. PT, 12 p.m. Eastern, talking about the union of ancient philosophy and modern business. Have a great weekend, y'all. Thank you for starting it right with Super Alex and Super Ray, and we will see y'all next week.
Peace. See y'all next week.